be joining us here in just a few minutes. He texted me and said he's running late. That's so unlike him.
That is unlike him.
Well, while we're waiting on him, I want to give a shout out, some kudos to HomeRate Mortgage. They helped me close a loan yesterday with a first-time home buyer, Kristen Whitmire. She gave me permission to say her name on the phone. On the radio. First-time home buyer. And she really made me work and earn my commission. We looked at houses all over, every location in Hamilton County, and she found the perfect home.
The house.
And they were able to get her the right financing, get it closed with a smooth transaction, and she was just ecstatic yesterday when we left the closing table. So I want to give a shout-out to HomeRate Mortgage and to Richard Sailors, who works there. Just appreciate the fine work that they do over there, and Ben, and he'll be joining us here in just a few minutes. We have a very special guest with us today. In the studios, we have State Representative Mike Carter from the 29th District. And let me just, before he starts talking, let me just say, I'm a little prejudiced towards Mike. He's one of my favorite representatives, and let me tell you, he's rare. People complain at how individuals get elected to office, and then they forget about the people who put them there. And so I myself try to always listen to the people and let the people that put me in office help me and steer my decision making. And I know Mike is the same way. He is a hero in my book because Mike has just been one of the most effective state representatives that we have, and we're very fortunate to have him representing us in Nashville. You remember back when Mayor Littlefield was trying to annex all the unincorporated back in 2009, and there was a grassroots effort by the people there to stop the city of Chattanooga. And we were able to raise money and file about 12 or 13 lawsuits against the city of Chattanooga. We hired an attorney out of Knoxville. And that was a big, big fight. Well, let me tell you, Mike was elected. And as a rookie in Nashville, he took on the fight at the state level. Well, it had been started at the local level. He took it to the state level to try to stop forced annexation. And I remember going to Nashville long before I was in office myself and talking to the state representatives, Bo Watson and some of them. And I asked them to please support Mike Carter in his endeavor to stop forced annexation. And I remember a lot of them said, oh, he's a rookie. Oh, we're going to appease him. We're going to let him talk about it. And then it's going to go for a study. Taster's going to do a study on it. Well, when we got to Mike Carter's office, and I was there with a group of realtors, I told Mike, I said, what they said.
I love this story.
And Mike, and keep in mind, this is a figure of speech, and you're going to hear Mike Carter here in just a few minutes. And you know Mike, he's very quick-witted. And he's got some just unique sayings. But he said, when I told him what they said, he said, I will burn this place down if this does not get passed. And I could see the determination and the resolute in his voice. And let me tell you, he did what had been tried to be accomplished for over 20 years. No one could ever get it done. And I know he had a lot of help and a lot of support by state representatives, but he took the lead. True leadership, and he was able to get legislation passed where that cities can no longer forcefully annex, and we can only be annexed now by referendum or by vote of the people, which is the way it should be. So with no further ado, I want to introduce our very special guest, Mike Carter. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today, Mike.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
And I understand you're running and you're going to be on the August ballot.
Yes, I have a Republican opponent in the primary, and that's early voting starts July the 15th, and the vote, the final day of voting is August 4th. That's the election day. So.
Well, Mike, to be honest, I don't know why anybody would be running against you. You are, we have great state delegation.
We do.
Yeah, I know Mark Gravitt, everyone, Gerald McCormick, Bo Watson, everyone you work with, Patsy Hazelwood, and I'm not trying to leave anyone out.
Todd Garden.
Todd Gardenhire, yeah, he's great.
Joanne Favor.
Yeah.
Works. Is just a great lady. Such an addition to the group. But we're very fortunate to have a very diverse group, and we all work well together. We all support each other. We've been able to get a lot of accomplishments. But when you have Gerald McCormick as the House majority leader, and then you have Bo Watson as the Speaker Pro Tem of the Senate, you've got a lot of horsepower. So all you need after that is just somebody that'll dig the ditch and pile the dirt. That's what I did.
Exactly. Well, kind of talk to us about that. I know as a rookie, one of your biggest goals was to stop forced annexation. I know you've told me on occasion you went to Nashville to stop forced annexation.
Well,
talk to us a little bit about that.
That's what I went to do. People don't understand that in 1980, I sat in the back of a pickup truck in Ottawa with then State Representative David Copeland, and we lamented over what was happening in forced annexation. And how could anyone allow this to happen? So I've been involved in the forced annexation movement for many years because it's affected many of my friends and myself, and I've had businesses annexed and I haven't had my home annexed. But the thing that gets me is that I have no objection to living in the city. I don't care who wants to live in the city, but I want that to be their choice.
Right.
And this all boils down to property rights. Who controls my property? Who can impose liens on my property? This is mine. As a lawyer in law school, I was taught that if you buy the fee, you understand fee, that's the total ownership of land because you deal with it. If you buy the fee, you own it. Well, I've come to believe that you rent it from the government.
That's sad.
Because the minute you don't do something they tell you to do, then they take it from you. And so I went single-mindedly with the intention of passing annexation reform. My problem was I assumed that everyone would support it.
Yeah.
I could not understand.
Especially Republicans.
That's right. I could not understand that anyone would be opposed to it. And when I got there, I discovered that not only were a large number of people opposed to it, we ran right into a buzzsaw called the Tennessee Municipal League, and they're extremely powerful, and they have great influence in the legislature, and that people were literally afraid to cross them. I didn't have enough sense to be afraid. I didn't go to get reelected. I went to try and pass annexation reform, and I had promised that I would do that. So if I lost, I didn't see any reason to go back.
Right.
If you can't go to Nashville and accomplish something, then
That's
why
true.
would you go? I mean, I don't understand that.
Yeah,
so
me either.
It was a long battle. The beauty of the battle, and I would love sometime to have time to sit down and write a book about what happened. The reason the impossible became possible is because of the people, not me.
Yeah.
The people. Whenever we got to a point where we were about to lose in a committee meeting, I would put out a call and the people would respond. I remember Mark West of the Tea Party showing up.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the Tennessee Federation of Republican Women.
Yes.
Do you know that I went up to speak to them about annexation? And these people, these ladies are wonderful. And as you know, you don't want them, you want them
on your side.
Oh, they're a powerful group, and they're very dedicated people. They believe in the Constitution.
Absolutely.
They believe in property rights, and they've spent their whole life trying to get good people in office. So I called and told them what I was trying to do, and they invited me up to Kingsport to speak to their statewide conference. Well, I thought I was going to drive up, speak, and leave. I didn't realize they wanted me there for 3 days. And so you can imagine me trying to mix and match clothes and not look like somebody just fell off a turnip truck. And I just had the most wonderful experience with those ladies and all the speakers. And I learned so much. But my speech to them was this: thank you for all the cakes that you've baked and all the money you've raised and all the times you've supported me. They supported me every time I've run, and I just appreciate these ladies so much. But ladies, today I need you to do more than support and bake cakes. I need you to become the driving force. Now, who in the world would run for the state legislature against the Republican women? That was my first thought.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I drove to Kingsport, and we drew a resolution for the Tennessee Federation of Republican Women to pass. Now, there were about 240 ladies there that day, but 120, and I'm not sure about their credentials in the process, but 120 had an actual right to vote. And I made a speech at lunch about forced annexation, what it had meant to our community, what it meant across the state, stories that I'd heard. And at the end of it, they voted. I said, now, ladies, I'm not asking you to raise money, call and support.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to write letters to every state representative saying, we are in favor of you voting this way. And if you don't, you're going to have to come and explain to us
Absolutely.
why. Well, the vote was 120 to 0 with a standing ovation.
Yeah, that's great.
So I knew then.
Yeah, you had their
that
support.
something was moving.
Exactly.
Something was happening, because every time I would get so down in the dumps and realize that, oh goodness, this is not going to work. I didn't realize we'd bit off more than we could chew, and we were about to fail. Someone came forward and would bring a group with them. Every time I would call you, there would be hundreds of emails. It got to the point during the debate that this is only an East Brainerd issue.
Yeah.
I thought, that's Sabrina. So what then I had to do was go across the state to Memphis,
Exactly.
to Kingsport, and to the other areas, and incorporate them. Well, after we had the vote with the Tennessee Federation of Republican Women, I did not want that particularly out, because I wanted to make that a bit of a surprise. I didn't realize their election came.
Yeah.
And so a new head was elected.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Wow.
So then I had to go to Franklin and meet with them all again, and we did it again, and the vote was unanimous again. So that Saturday afternoon, I sat there with a wonderful lady named Linda Buckles from up in Kingsport area, and she signed 132 personal letters.
That's phenomenal.
And she wrote them, and I got them prepared and took them, and we sat and we signed them, and we stuck them. That was on a Saturday. The session was then Tuesday was the actual opening, and so I knew everybody would be there Monday. And so Monday morning, when all of the legislators, both the House and the Senate, went into their office, laying square in the middle of their desk was a letter from the Tennessee Federation of Republican Women.
Wow.
And it talked about how long they had supported people and why they sent people to Nashville, and that they were concerned about this issue. Then I ran into people all across the state who helped us. A gentleman named Bill Haupt, Haupt, and Bill is from Wilson County up in Mount Juliet. Bill was one of the originators of Proposition 13 in California. Yeah. And a very knowledgeable guy.
Very.
He grew up with Ronald Reagan's son. Ronald Reagan and his father were in show business together, and so Bill started a Facebook page, and he was lamenting one night, and he was down there every day trying to help us, just killing himself trying to help us. And he had 400 followers on Facebook. By the end of that, last time I checked, he had over 43,000 followers. Wow.
That's unbelievable.
So, a guy named John Avery Emerson, Citizens for Home Rule in Knoxville, they formed to defeat forced annexation in Knoxville back in 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, they helped us at the local level too.
And they raised a lot of money.
A lot of money.
They're very politically powerful.
Absolutely.
And he's extremely intelligent.
Very.
And so I would call him. So if we could write a book, I could say at this date, at this time, if not for Sabrina, we would not have made it. On this day at this time, without Mark West, we would not have made it. This time, without the Republican women, we would not have made it. And so I was at a function recently and was talking to a city person. Yeah. And I understand that. And they say I'm a county man. And I very much resent that, because I was a judge for 9 years, and I don't see anything as city or county. I see it as fair to the people.
Absolutely. It's property rights.
Well, at some point, we got confused. People do not work for the government. Yeah. The government works for the people.
Absolutely.
And somehow that got lost.
Yep.
So this gentleman came up to me recently, and he's in this national group of advancing cities, and he was telling me what a horrible bill I'd passed, and how it was killing all the cities, and how it was horrible. And I said, well, everywhere you go, whether it's Castro, Stalin,
that's true,
Hitler, they knew better than the people. And so I just happen to think that people who own property and people that don't, they have a say. The government works for the people. The people do not work for the government.
That's true.
And so that's what we did. Well, this gentleman said, he was telling me about how horrible the law was, how it was going to bankrupt all the cities, and the cities were going to go out of business, which is just ridiculous. Remember that Tennessee was only one of 3 states in the nation that had forced annexation.
Exactly.
The fastest 25 growing cities in America do not have forced annexation.
Exactly.
What we're saying is you're going to have people want to live in your city. You can't make them live there. Now, once you make them live there, you've got a disinterested, unhappy citizen in large part, not completely. But I understand that. So anyway, he said, we want to come. Would you come to Cincinnati or somewhere? I'm not sure where it was, and talk to us in one of our yearly meetings. And I said, well, I don't know. What about? And he said, annexation. And I said, you're 100% against the elimination of forced annexation. You're trying to spread it now to 48 states.
Right.
There are only 2 left, Idaho and Indiana, that still have forms of forced annexation. And I said, what in the world would you want me to say? Because we disagree so completely and utterly, I think it'd be a wasted trip. And he said, oh, no. We don't want to talk about forced annexation. That won't be the topic. We want to know how in the world did you pull this off?
Yeah, because it is fascinating.
Everyone against you.
Absolutely.
And I said, well, there's where you all don't get it.
Yeah.
There's your missing point. And there's no reason for me to come. I did not do this. I did not do this. Bo Watson carried it in the Senate. It had been carried for years. It finally had enough.
Exactly.
I was at the right place at the right time.
You were.
The right public leaders came forward. A lady I knew as a realtor named Sabrina says, I'm going to get involved.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go home and have a nice dinner with my husband, go and be at meetings and rallies. I'm going to see that government works.
Yeah.
Now, when we passed this bill, I asked for permission and did make a statement, which I think is on my website now, advising people, if you're at home, and I'm sure many of these Hot News Talk radio fans are at home, and they begin to wonder if government works like you and I do on frequent occasions. I watched the passage of that bill to think that all the money, all the power, all the prestige, every influential thing that could be done to kill a bill was brought.
It's just unbelievable.
And the vote was 85 to 4 for the bill.
Well, let me say, Mike, you're humble, and I appreciate that. And it was no doubt a concerted effort by a lot of people. It really, really was. But you stood strong, and you showed tremendous leadership in that effort. And I think your passion kind of filtered out into everyone else. And I do commend Bo Watson. I've seen him in action too. For anyone that doesn't understand, I should have asked you this right off the bat. The layout of District 29. Tell us about your district and what all areas that encompasses.
Well, it starts with a portion. I've got one precinct in Appleton, Tennessee, and then across the ridge, White Oak Mountain, and I pick up about a third of Collegedale. And then I get all of Ooltewah, Snow Hill. I don't have but a tiny little portion of Harris. And then Snow Hill, Meadowview, Birchwood. I cross the river and have Sale Creek, Bakewell, and come down and get a one precinct in Dallas Bay and one in Middle Valley.
That's a big district, and it's diverse.
Yeah, I made the comment when I first saw it to Gerald McCormick, who is the drunken sailor that drew this, and Gerald had the most common. It never changed his expression. And he said, Mike, having been a serviceman, that's offensive to all the drunken sailors throughout the world. So I thought that was pretty comical. But computers draw these frequently to make sure that you have the right racial makeup and all the different makeups. So it's when you leave Appleton and drive to Sale Creek and then back down the Middle Valley, you've made about a 47 or 50 mile drive. But it's great because Bakewell and Sale Creek and those areas are like Ooltewah I grew up in. Yeah. And so I just feel such a kindred spirit with those folks. Just have a wonderful relationship with them. I just really enjoy attending their functions up there because it's like going back to Ooltewah when I grew up.
Right. Well, I'm glad we got that out there. So for anyone that may not know who their state representative is, if you're in any of those areas, Mike Carter is your state representative, and you need their vote, and you need their vote in August. And I'll tell you, Mike, as an elected official, I try to stay in my own lane. I don't get involved in other people's races, but when I believe in someone and I think that they are doing a good job, to me, if someone's doing a good job and they're effective and they're representing the people, you want to promote them. You don't want to demote them, and you definitely want to keep them. And so that's why I felt the need to have you on today and to even get involved and to support you, because you've shown just tremendous leadership. You've been an effective representative, and I say that with my heart. And if you know me, I don't get involved in races. And it really takes a lot to impress me, but you've shown through action. It's been a lot more than talk. It's been action. And that's what we need more of locally, at a state level, and even nationally. I mean, and that's what we're starving for. That's what people are starving for. Well, I hear that over and over.
I think so. Let me tell you, one of the first people that came to me was a legislator, been there many years, and they call me judge. That's fine. I appreciate that. They say once a judge, always a judge. Yeah. I guess that's correct. And so I see it as a sign of respect, and I appreciate it. But he said, Judge, we don't want you to get beat.
Yeah.
You're bringing up issues that are going to get you beat. And I said, well, now, wait a minute. My promise was to come and change these.
Yes.
I don't remember a single person saying, will you promise to run for re-election?
Yes.
I don't remember any of that. I said, listen, I came to do something. I have been so blessed in my life. What I came to do is to make government work and to protect private property rights. My district understands that. My district supports that. And after I passed annexation, I ran unopposed the first time. We passed annexation, and they warned me about all that was going to happen, and nothing happened. I ran unopposed again. So when I went back, the same fella said, do you mind to tell me how you did that? And I said, you do what the people want.
That's true.
And they back you.
And you've done it.
Yeah. And so to the people of the 29th District, thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent you without fear of retaliation politically.
Well,
so thank you very much.
We're going to have you back in the second segment too, and I want you to talk about some other things that you've been able to accomplish while representing us, and also what you hope to accomplish, because you will get reelected, I believe, and what you're going to try to accomplish going forward. Join us back after the break here on the Sabrina and Ben Hour. I think Ben's going to be joining us. I saw him come in. He's probably out trying to make a deal today. But we do have Mike Carter, state representative from District 29. He's here talking about some of the property rights issues and some of the legislation he has gotten passed during his tenure in office to protect property owners, which is very near and dear to me as a real estate agent and someone that does this for a living. I care very much about protecting property rights. For anyone thinking about listing a home or buying a home, Sabrina Realty is standing by. We'd love to help you. You can reach us at 423-499-7780. That's 499-7780, or visit our website at sabrinarealty.com. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. This is the Sabrina and Ben Real Estate Hour, and we still have Mike Carter in the house. And what a great day it is. It's a sunny day, and what a good day to talk politics.
We're glad that you joined us today. Where you been?
Well, hey, you know, somebody's got to work. So, and no one got speeding tickets or anything like that. So, hey, welcome back, Mike. We really appreciate you just being here to share what you're trying to accomplish. Tell everybody how you feel about this annexation going across the state in multiple counties.
Well, it certainly is a statewide issue. And the argument against it in the beginning was it only involved Chattanooga, and that didn't take long for that fire to catch and realize that it was not. The main problem is, and I said at my opening the other day, is that we won the right to vote on annexation. The question is, can we keep it? There have already been 2 efforts to overturn it. One by what I call private petition, where the cities would be allowed to go privately without public notice and circulate petitions through a given area.
Wow.
And once they reach 51% of the landowners, then they could annex by ordinance. we killed that. And there is another one now that is being involved. It involves where the cities require you to consent and request annexation when you buy a new house, and you assign your utilities. A part of that contract says, I hereby consent to and request annexation. And so that's an issue that's headed to the court. So you have to understand, last night, if I could give you a quick example, at 11 o'clock, I got a text from a lady up in Kingsport, Tennessee, where the city of Kingsport, I think this is right, I fell asleep. I think Kingsport voted last night to charge you now for your garbage service. They annexed you to provide you city services, and now they're going to start charging you for those city services.
All these things sound like little schemes almost.
Well, they sound almost too much to believe, but they're happening out there.
That's why we need Mike Carter, someone there that's keeping their eye out and looking out for the people. Mike, tell them briefly how there's been situations with the cities also when they don't want to maintain the road anymore. They'll keep the annexed property, but in some situations, they just turn the road back over to the county.
Right.
Well, the very reason I was told that I have an opponent and many cities are opposing me is that we passed a bill in the House. It passed 68 something, and it allowed those persons who had been forcibly annexed to have a one-time opportunity. One time, only one time, because the city can't base its future on continuing fluctuation of its lines. But for those people who were forced in without their consent, to have a one-time opportunity to vote themselves out of the city. If they went out of the city, if they voted to vote themselves out, and they had received benefit from the city, a park, sidewalks, streetlights, whatever the city may have done. Yeah, well, sewers actually are a little different, but anything they did, then that person had to take that debt with them when they left, because it'd be unfair to the cities to let them incur debt and spend money and not repay them for that. That's why I was told that I was opposed. Now, let me explain de-annexation to everyone out there that's listening. The city can de-annex you. The city has the right of de-annexation. If the city has it, why can't the citizen have it? When did government began to think it controlled the citizens? Now, when I was in civics, the citizens controlled the government. Now, Abe Lincoln and I sat beside each other in class, and I remember that distinctly. So I'm offended when government grows to benefit government. Wow. I made a speech up at Kingsport one day, and I said something, and I didn't know where it came from, but I've used it many times since. I'm talking about politicians, and I hate to point that to myself because nothing much more insulting than you say to me to say I'm a politician, but technically I guess that's true. We build kingdoms because we're the king, and it's good to be the king. Now, that's as brutally honest as I can make it. Why? See, we take your tax dollars. We don't ask for them. We take them. You're in a business. You have to convince me to do business with you. I can't walk into your office and say, Ben, I need $200. You're going to give it to me or I'm going to shut you down. So the government takes these things, and then we as politicians build things, and then we claim the victory that we did this for you. Well, that strikes me as a little bit bizarre. Let's protect those people. Ben, two of the things that I learned, I was a county attorney for 19 years. I was a judge for 9 years. I've been in business. I thought I knew an average amount about how government works. Here's the two most shocking things I learned when I got to Nashville. Number one, the bureaucracy runs the state. It's that person hired 27 years ago with a chip on their shoulder, sitting in the cubicle that says no to you when you call. And that is incredibly offensive to me.
So government, by its own nature, almost wants to become king.
Well, yeah, they can't. They just continue.
They just can't help it.
They can't help it.
They just get out of control with it.
That's how the politician proves they should be reelected. They did something. Yeah. But the problem is they're taking your money away from you to do it. The other thing I learned in Nashville is it doesn't matter how conservative you are. It doesn't matter how, if you belong to the Tea Party or you belong to any group, it doesn't matter. You can go up and vote your conscience as conservatively as humanly possible. It does not work. Here's what works. You cut off the flow of funds and you restrict government. And that's the only thing they listen to and they respect. Let me give you an example. Memphis, and I hate to pick on Memphis. I went to law school in Memphis and practiced there for 2 years and still have former law partners that I enjoy out there. They are borrowing money. They owe over $2.4 billion. Now, they just borrowed. When we tried to run the de-annexation bill, they got mad and they passed and borrowed $227 million while that bill was pending. Now, knowing that if anyone does withdraw, they have to take that portion. So they're poisoning the well. Well, I'm driving to Nashville one Monday morning and I'm listening to National Public Radio, and I never listened to it. I don't know why my radio was even on it. But they were talking about Detroit and its financial disaster. And so I'm driving up the road and I thought, is there any possibility that the people in Birchwood, Sale Creek, and Ottawa, and Absent, Collegedale are responsible for the irrational financial decisions made by the cities of the state? So I called Bo Watson, and Bo said, Mike, I think back 100 years ago that Memphis filed bankruptcy and the state paid their bills. So I get to, I say, well, Bo, we got to stop that. He said, well, draw a bill and I'll run it in the Senate. And so I go up and we began to research, and oddly enough, yes, that's the law. So I file a one-line bill that says the state is not responsible for the debts of any city. And we had to change that because there's an emergency in case some catastrophic disaster hits a city, the state can step in and help them. And certainly we want to do that. But we exempted those catastrophic events and then said the state is not responsible for the debts of the city. And I call it the Municipal Debt Act. It passed right through the House, just like nothing happened until I got to the final Finance Committee hearing. And then all of a sudden, someone opened the gates of hell and demons descended. And it was amazing how that was fought. And I'm from Ottawa. Things that don't make sense to me just simply can't be explained. And so I said to those people, why are you fighting this unless it is your plan? And it passed. All right. Bo sent it right through the Senate.
Wow. Governor
signed it. I'm sitting on my couch one night, fat, dumb, and happy. And this phone rings, and I give my cell phone number to everyone. And this lady says, this is, and I don't remember her name, Jane Smith. And is this Mike Carter, the state legislator from Ottawa? And I said, well, no, it's Ottawa.
Ottawa.
But we've had so many people move in that didn't. Right. And so I have about a 20 or 25-minute discussion with this lady about the Municipal Debt Act. Extremely intelligent. Well, this lady's a CPA. She knows her stuff. So we have a nice talk, and I hang up. And the next day, my phone buzzes, and I look down. It's the state comptroller, Justin Wilson. And I answered the phone. I said, hey, Justin, what's up? And he said, Mike, for heaven's sakes, did you talk to Jane Smith last night? I said, well, sure, Justin. How in the world do you know that? And he says, my gosh, man, she's the editor of Bond Buyer Magazine, the Bible of municipal and state debt financing. I said, oh, my goodness. And he said, what in the world did you say to her? And I said, Justin, I just told her the truth. And he said, you don't remember what you said? I said, just answered the question. A couple hours later, he calls back. She had called him. And he said, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. He said, Mike, you do realize now no state in the nation has ever done this. And I said, no, it just made sense. So I assumed we were the last to do it. You're telling me we were the first. A few days later, I get 10 copies of the little newspaper like Wall Street Journal, Bond Buyer. And it has my picture and Justin Wilson on the front page. And he said, I've been trying for 50 years to get my picture on the front page of this. You come up here and in 1 year, you get me on the copy.
So let me get this right, Mike. You may have just saved us $2.4 billion of Memphis's debt.
Well, it's a whole lot more than that.
I get it, but it's amazing that out of 50 states, this is the first thing that's been passed on this, because no one wants to pay other people's bills.
Well,
which is the very problem with government spending. How it gets to 18, is it 18 trillion now?
I think it's 19
or
20 now.
God forbid.
It'll soon be 20.
Folks, we're heading down a toilet. I mean, we wouldn't run our family business this way. We wouldn't run our. Why would we want to run our communities and then our states and then our nation like this? We've got to stop course. And you know what? That's why this event, this political event, this folks deciding who they vote for, and that's why it's so important to have people on to discuss what you believe in.
It's important who governs.
It matters who governs, and the lieutenant governor coined that phrase, and it's on his wall. Ron Ramsey from Kingsport. Let me assure you, he is correct. Let me tell you one other thing. I mentioned that cities have the right to de-annex, and they do. Do you realize I filed a bill saying they could not de-annex their city streets? Do what? They can de-annex their street. They can survey off the asphalt in their cities and give it back to Sabrina.
Can you believe that?
Do they have to get the county's permission? No. Do they even have to alert them that it has happened? No. Well, wait a minute. The state sends gas tax funds to maintain those roads. Surely that gas tax transfers to the state, to the county.
Well, we only got 900,000 more coming up this year in 2017.
There's no balance of power there.
Yeah. So the cities can literally give their roads back to the county and keep the income.
They've got an unlimited credit card.
Yeah.
And this is the Exxon Valdez here.
Well,
it sounds like.
But that's a part of the de-annexation bill, and that was very aggressively fought. The cities don't want that. Now here's the trouble, and all the bill did is something that I think people in Ooltewah and Sell Creek and Bakewell and Birchwood and Snow Hill, Appleton, East Springer, my areas believe. If you have the duty to maintain that asphalt, you should get the tax money designed to do it. Absolutely. Now, the bill allowed the cities to reverse that. If they thought, well, now with the new law, we don't want to lose that income, they can go and take them right back. So literally, there's no lose to that city other than if they truly want the right to force debt onto the county. Now, remember how the state is set up. The state of Tennessee exists, and there are 95 counties that exist. Those counties exist. They're a subdivision of the state. They are the state of Tennessee. Sabrina can't pass a law. She has to come to Nashville because they're our children. Cities, however, are a construct of the statute. They can pass laws. So they call them ordinances. So they can literally fine you. They can put up traffic cameras. They can build speed traps. They can do all these fee generating things that the counties can't do. But in order to transfer all of that liability to the counties and not allow that money to follow, that doesn't make sense to me. And that's why they're so bent against me in this election. They know when I go back, I told them, they said,
bring it back.
We're going to bring it back. We're not going to stop until the will of the people is heard or I'm defeated and I'll go home. And that's just where we are. And that's the choices before the people of the 29th district. I do not accept lobbyist money. So I've buried.
And that is rare.
Well,
that's
rare.
It is.
But I've buried my two best friends in the past 30 days. And so I've been at the oncology ward at night, and it's been a tough time to start a campaign. But we buried the final one last Tuesday, and so we're up and running now. But I've said that because I guess I'm a little late out of the gate. And so I need people to help me. I need them to talk to their brother, their sister, their cousin, their uncle, or aunt, or neighbor. I need them to put up signs. I need them to be active in this campaign because let me assure you, Kingsport to Memphis, there are people working against District 29. We're not running against one city. We're running against the city's state.
Wow.
Mike, for anyone that wants to get involved or help you, how do they go to your website? How do they contact you? Who do they need to contact? And what do they need to do to get involved? I'm sure you have a website or some way that they can go. And
we have a website, REP, MikeCarter.com. They can go there and register. We're forming community advisory councils. We've already got formed for each city, each community within my area. I would hope that they will call in and say, I live in Hampton on the lake, or I live in Flagstone, and let me organize my group. And we've got some of those folks already. And if they will go to that website and do that, they can call me. My cell phone is 423-315-3816.
Repeat that one more time.
423-315-3816. My campaign manager is Jenny McFarland. We'll get her involved. We have Dalton Temple, Jonathan Mason, Phyllis Maynor. We've got a great Patrick Hampton of All Lives Matter fame.
Yeah.
How do you beat
He's
him?
awesome.
And so all of those people are helping us. But get involved in your neighborhood. Let me give you an example. JB Underwood, that owns the Exxon right there in Collegedale, when he heard I had an opponent, I called him. He had just heard somebody pull in and told him. I said, JB, I hope I can count on you. And he said, Mike, please come down. Put up signs here because thousands of cars pass every day. I'll tell everyone that stops, and I'd like to write you a check. So I appreciate that very much.
Mike, why do you have an opponent? Do you know? I mean, do you know why someone? Because I can't imagine any Republican that shares the same values running against you. Like I said earlier, because you're effective.
Yeah, you assume they share the same values.
Yeah.
That may be the key.
And you can claim you're a Republican, but if you're against annexation, de-annexation, against property rights, I don't know how you claim to be a Republican. Now, maybe I am. And the question I would have is, what have I done that you think is wrong for the people of District 29? I didn't go to stay. I honestly didn't go to get reelected, because in order to attack the things I had to attack, I had to give up the thought of being a career politician, which, by the way, never wanted to be. So I want to get this done. I want to improve some things, and I want to go fishing.
Well, we want you to go back, because we want you to finish what you started and to continue the fight with the de-annexation. I know I went to Nashville recently to try to help on that. I was very frustrated and discouraged that it didn't get passed, and you've got to go back because we need you there. And I tell you, Mike, people think it's glamorous. It's a big sacrifice to go and represent the people. You know, when I've gone to Nashville, it is just commuting around, going to those meetings, and people do not understand how lengthy the meetings are. I mean, it is a huge commitment to go and represent the people in Nashville. And also, I think you're staying on a boat at night or something when you live there, aren't you?
Living out of a suitcase.
Yeah, you have to live out of a suitcase. But let me say this: it is hard work if you do it right.
Yeah.
But let me just say this: it's one of the greatest honors in the world when you have someone call and they've gotten sideways with the bureaucracy, and you can call over there. The Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, Collegedale called me. They're going to pass rules that are going to kill us. And so the speaker assigned me 6 lawyers. And for 6 weeks, we met 3 days a week in Nashville to figure out how to defeat that. And I'm here to tell you that Chairman Halford of the Agricultural Committee passed an act this year reining in the Environmental Protection Agency and the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation for the first time in the history of Tennessee. And I am so proud that I spent all last summer beating my head against the wall until finally we realized what was going on. So we're making great progress. In education, in math, we've gone from 48 to 24. That's great. We've increased spending.
You been.
Amen. Amen. Is
we've increased spending from the state to the counties for education, almost $1 billion in the past 5 years.
Well, here locally, they're going to get $10.2 million more through the state, through the BEP formula.
And we've added $104 million year before last, $100 million this year for teacher raises. Now that goes to your school board, and your school board decides who is quote a teacher to receive that. But we've gone from 10 months a year in education. Our teachers, my wife's a teacher, so I knew this, or has been before she retired. And so there's 2 months there. They have to make up all their insurance. Last year we went to 11 months. This year we went to 12 months. So our teachers are now fully covered. But I've done a lot of talk to teachers about what can we do to help you. And it's so amazing what I hear everywhere. And that is simply this: let the teachers teach. Get out of our classrooms. Get all the regulations out of our classrooms. Let us love on our children and teach them what they need to know and quit testing them to death. And let me assure you, we've got to understand this testing, because I think when we start digging up all these bodies in the testing graveyard, we may find some odd things there.
We will. Mike, we've just got a minute left, but I want to just hit you up on some things.
Sure.
We definitely felt your passion today.
Well, thank you.
That's important. You're running for office. It's important that folks get to experience that. There's an average person driving down the road right now trying to understand all this and say, what is Mike going to bring to me? And what I heard today was that you're going to fight for my property rights. And this is not just an election about a position. This is an election that actually impacts my business and then my clients' property taxes, right?
Absolutely.
It impacts the annexation, the sloppy, being able to, for cities being able to just do what they want and be able to pull back and put the bill on somebody else. We're really proud of what you've done so far.
Thank you.
We're really excited that we got to have you on. It's been a privilege to be able to stand by you. And I look forward to supporting you during this election campaign. And
now, does that mean I have your support?
You're getting it today.
Getting it right now.
Thank you.
Right.
You'll get it right now. Wow.
So
Thank you.
We're taking him a yard.
Thank you.
Folks, what a great sunshiny day today. And we got a lot of good sunshine out there with these answers. Folks are trying to make decisions on who to vote for. And it's important to know the facts and get to experience
This is an easy decision.
No doubt about it.
Mike Carter.
No doubt about it. Mike Carter, state representative, District 29. Let's get this guy elected as soon as possible.
Go to the polls in August.
Oh, yeah. We just got seconds left. Hey, you said 423-315-3816. Get involved. Get on that advisory council. Tell them where you're from, and you can make a difference. It's your property rights. It's our country.
That's right.
And how do we get in touch with HomeRate Mortgage?
805-9100. Make the call today. It only takes seconds.
Call Ben at 805-9100 or Sabrina Realty, 423-499-7780. We would love to help you buy that next home, sell your home. Ben has all kinds of great loan products he'd love to discuss with you. Call us today, and thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week.